often saw a cat without a grin, but a grin without a cat. Now that is the most curious thing I've ever seen in my life. Alice. She looks quite angry, actually. The rabbit looks high. And I believe that is the mouse. You can't see him very well. His little ears. And of course my favorite, Mr. Hatter. Mad Hatter. With his bow tie. Just the Cheshire. With his grin. Here's Alice again. Got a little black kitten. I want a black kitten. Here we see the wonderful Queen of Hearts, all of her henchmen sitting round about, and her husband, I presume, who looks rather frightened for his own life. The white rabbit. Don't know if you can see that. The white rabbit. Her husband. Of course. The evil Queen of Hearts. And the tarts. Oh, guys. It's not looking good for him. Let's begin. Alice was beginning to get very tired of sitting by her sister on the bank and of having nothing to do. Once or twice she had peeped into the book her sister was reading, but it had no pictures or conversations in it. And what is the use of a book, thought Alice, without pictures or conversation? So she was considering in her own mind, as well as she could, for the hot day made her feel very sleepy and stupid, whether the pleasure of making a daisy chain would be worth the trouble of getting up and picking the daisies. Suddenly, a white rabbit with pink eyes ran close by her. A white rabbit with pink eyes. A white rabbit with pink eyes. There was nothing so very remarkable in that, nor did Alice think it so very much out of the way to hear the rabbit say to itself, "Oh dear, oh dear, I shall be late." When she thought it over afterwards, it occurred to her that she ought to have wondered at this. But at the time it all seemed quite natural. But when the rabbit actually took a watch out of its waistcoated pocket and looked at it and then hurried on, Alice started to her feet. For it flashed across her mind that she had never before seen a rabbit with either a waistcoated pocket or a watch to take out of it, and burning with curiosity, she ran across the field after it, and fortunately was just in time to see it pop down a large rabbit hole under a hedge. Here we see the white rabbit with his waistcoat and his pocket watch. In another moment, down went Alice after it, never once considering how in the world she was to get out again. The rabbit hole went straight on like a tunnel, some way, and then dipped suddenly down, so suddenly that Alice had not a moment to think about stopping herself before she found herself falling down a very deep well. Either the well was very deep, or she fell very slowly, for she had plenty of time as she went down to look about her and to wonder what was going to happen next. First, she tried to look down and make out what she was coming to, but it was too dark to see anything. Then she looked at the sides of the well and noticed that they were filled with cupboards and bookshelves. Here and there she saw maps and pictures hung upon pegs. She took down a jar from one of the shelves as she passed. It was labelled Orange Marmalade. Sounds like Paddington Bear has been down there as well. But to her great disappointment, it was empty. She did not like to drop the jar for fear of killing somebody, so she managed to put it back on one of the cupboards as she fell past it. Well, thought Alice to herself, after such a fall as this, I shall think nothing of tumbling downstairs. How brave they'll all think me at home. I wouldn't say anything about it, even if I fell off the top of the house, which is very likely true. Down, 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 down. Would the fall never come to an end? I wonder how many miles I've fallen by this time, she said aloud. I must be getting somewhere near the centre of the earth. Let me see. That would be 4,000 miles down, I think. For you see, Alice had learnt several things of this sort in her lesson in the schoolroom, and though this was not a very good opportunity for showing off her knowledge, as there was no one to listen to her, still it was a good practice to say it over. Yes, that's about the right distance, she says. But then I wonder what latitude or longitude I've got to. Alice had no idea what latitude was or longitude either, but thought they were nice, grand words to say. Latitude, latitude, longitude, latitude, and longitude, 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 and latitude. They are nice, grand words to say. Presently she began again. I wonder if I shall fall right through the earth. How funny it'll seem to come out among the people that walk with their heads downward. The end up these, and I think I sneezed. Presently she began again. I wonder if I shall fall right through the earth. How funny it'll seem to come out among the people that walk with their heads downward. The antipathies, I think. She was rather glad there was no one listening this time, as it didn't sound at all like the right word. But I shall have to ask them what the name of the country is, you know. Please, Mom, is this New Zealand or Australia? And she tried to curtsy as she spoke. Fancy curtsying as you're falling through the air. Do you think you could manage it? And what an ignorant little girl shall think me for asking. It'll never do to ask. Perhaps I shall see it written up somewhere. Down, 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 down. There was nothing else to do, so Alice soon began talking again. Dinah will miss me very much tonight, I should think. Dinah was the cat, the black cat. My aunt has a cat. The lady they had adopted in a stray cat and found out weeks later that she was pregnant, smart cat. And she had a litter of 5. First one was stillborn, and the other 4 we adopted out. And my aunt and her daughter took 2 of the cats. One of them was black with a white belly underneath and white paws, and they named her Maggie. And the other one looked just like her mother, was grey with darker grey stripes and the common M that you see on their foreheads. And they named her Dinah, so they have a cat named Dinah too. I hope they'll remember her saucer of milk at tea time. Dinah, my dear, I wish you were down here with me. There are no mice in the air, I'm afraid, but you might catch a bat, and that's very likely a mouse, you know. It's very like a mouse, you know. But do cats eat bats, I wonder? And here Alice began to get rather sleepy, and went on saying to herself, in a dreamy sort of way, do cats eat bats? Do cats eat bats? And sometimes do bats eat cats? Do bats eat cats? Do bats eat bats? For you see, as she couldn't answer either question, it didn't matter much which way she put it. She felt that she was dozing off, and had just begun to dream that she was walking hand in hand with Dinah, and saying to her very earnestly, "Now, Dinah, tell me the truth. Did you ever eat a bat?" When suddenly, thump, down she came on a heap of sticks and dry leaves, and the fall was over. Alice was not a bit hurt, and she jumped up to her feet in a moment. She looked up, but it was all dark overhead. Before her was another long passage, and the white rabbit was still in sight, hurrying down it. There was not a moment to be lost. Away went Alice like the wind, and was just in time to hear it say, as it turned a corner, "Oh, my ears and whiskers! How late it's getting!" She was close behind it when she turned the corner, but the rabbit was no longer to be seen when she rounded it. She found herself in a long, low hall, which was lit up by a row of lamps hanging from the roof. There were doors all around the hall, but they were all locked up, and when Alice had been all the way down one side and up the other, trying every door, she walked sadly down the middle, wondering how she was ever going to get out again. Suddenly she came upon a little three-legged table, all made of solid glass, and there was nothing on it except a tiny golden key. And Alice's first thought was that it might belong to one of the doors of the hall, but alas, the locks were too large, the key was too small. But at any rate, there would not open any of them. However, on the second time round, she came upon a low curtain she had not noticed before, and behind it was a little door. Yes, Alice. Finding the little door. Blue dress, white stockings, black shoes, and a tiny, tiny little key. I always thought that Alice in Wonderland looked a lot like Goldilocks from the Three Bears, and wondered if that story happened to be a mini story from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Something to think about. Behind the curtain was a little door, about 15 inches high, golden key lock, and to her great delight, it fitted. Alice opened the door and found that it led to a small passage, not much larger than a rat hole. She knelt down and looked along the passage into the loveliest garden you ever saw. I'm going to sneeze again. Now I know why they have so many options for blooper videos. Okay. How she longed to get out of that dark hole and wander about among those beds of bright flowers and those cool fountains. But she could not even get her head through the doorway. And even if my head would go through, thought poor Alice, it would be of very little use without my shoulders. Oh, how I wish I could shut up like a telescope. I think if I could, if only I knew how to begin, I could fit. For you see, so many out-of-the-way things had happened lately, that Alice had begun to think that very few things indeed were really impossible. Very few things indeed were really impossible. There seemed to be no use in waiting by the little door, so she went back to the table, half hoping she might find another key on it, or at any rate, a book of rules for shutting people up like telescopes. But this time she found a little bottle on it, which certainly was not there before. And round the neck of the bottle was a paper label with the words, "Drink me," beautifully printed on it in large letters. It was all very well to say "drink me," for the wise little Alice was not going to do that in a hurry. "No, I'll look first," she said, "and see whether it's marked poison or not." She had read several nice little histories about children who had gotten burnt and eaten up by wild beasts, and other unpleasant things, all because they would not remember some very deeply with a knife, usually bleeds. That's that. And she had never forgotten that. If you drink much from a bottle marked poison, it is often certain to disagree with you sooner or later. Right now, we have Alice in her blue dress, and her white stockings, and her black shoes, golden hair, and the bottle with beautiful letters marked drink, drink, drink. She's trying to determine it's poison. So let us see what she discovers. However, this bottle was not marked poison. So Alice ventured to taste it, and finding it very nice, it had in fact a sort of mixed flavour of cherry tart, custard, pineapple, roast turkey, toffee, and hot buttered toast. That sounds absolutely disgusting. All of those things together, goodness, that's gross. She very soon finished it off. Good for her. It's a curious feeling, said Alice. I must be shutting up like a telescope. And so it was indeed. She was now only 10 inches high. Now see, here's the thing now. She was drinking this all the while, and it was a big bottle. Did the bottle shrink with Alice as she was shrinking, as she was drinking the bottle? Or was she like standing there with the bottle like this big? Context. And so it was indeed. She was now 10 inches high, and her face brightened up at the thought that she was now the right size for going through the little door into that lovely garden. First, however, she waited a few minutes to see if she was going to shrink any further. She felt a little nervous about it, for it might end, you know, said Alice to herself. It might going out altogether like a candle, and I wonder what I should be like then. And she tried to fancy what the flame of the candle is like after the candle is blown out, for she could not ever remember seeing it. After a while, finding that nothing more had happened, she decided that going out into the garden at once. But alas for poor Alice, when she got to the door, she found she had forgotten the little golden key, and went back to the table for it, but found that she could not possibly reach it. But didn't Alice already open the door with the key? Did it say that she closed it? I'm sorry, I just have to know. It doesn't say she shut the door. I think this is going to die. Sorry, we will just assume that she shut the door, or that the White Rabbit did, or somebody. When she went back to the table for the key, she found that she could not possibly reach it. She could see it quite plainly through the glass, and she tried her best to climb up over the legs of the table, but it was too slippery. When she had tired herself with trying, the poor little thing sat down and cried. Come, there's no use in crying like that, said Alice to herself rather sharply. I advise you to leave off this minute. She generally gave herself very good advice, though she very seldom followed it, and sometimes she scolded herself so severely as to bring tears into her eyes. Don't we all do that sometimes? Sometimes I think we're harder on ourselves than we are on anybody else. Once she remembered trying to box her own ears for having cheated herself in a game of croquet. She she was playing against herself, for this curious child was very fond of pretending to be two people. But it's no use now, thought poor Alice, to pretend to be two people, for there's hardly enough left of me to make one respectable person. It was still flickering. Soon her eye fell on a little glass box that was lying under the table. She opened it and found in it a very small cake, on which the words "Eat me" were beautifully marked in currants. I don't know currants. Well, I'll eat it, thought Alice, and if it makes me grow larger, I can reach the key, and if it makes me grow smaller, I can creep under the door. So either way I'll get into the garden, and I don't care which happens next. She ate a little bit, and anxiously said to herself, "Which way? Which 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 way? Holding her hand on the top of her head to feel which way it was growing, and she was quite surprised to find that she remained the same size, to be sure. This generally happens when one eats cake. But Alice had got so much into the way of exactly nothing, but out of the way things to happen, that seemed quite dull and stupid, a life to go on in the common way. So she set to work, and very soon finished off the cake. I wonder which way Alice is going to grow. But that is in our next chapter, which is called The Pool of Tears. The Pool of Tears. So, crying. I've read different versions of Alice in Wonderland when I was little, but they were all kids' books. And so, loving the story as much as I do, I went to Barnes & Noble a couple of weeks ago, and I found their classics collection. They have it for adult books too, but these are the kids' ones, and I bought, because it was buy one, get one half off. I got this one, and then I got Peter Pan, so I'm going to be doing a Peter Pan reading in the future, which would be great, as that is my absolute favourite childhood story. Lost boys and people with silly hats. I guess is what I like the most. I don't know yet if I'm going to do just Alice in Wonderland, or if I will continue to Alice and the Looking Glass. We shall see. Because there are actually two books in this one, two books. Actually, it's real quick. The Mad Hatter and Tisa. And its face. Look at it. He's crazy for sure. Looks like he's singing or giving an oration or something. As it looks like Pooh Bear. Do what Pooh Bear is doing in Alice in Wonderland. Well, that was all for today for Alice in Wonderland. You can comment and let me know whether I need to be louder or softer, if you would like more of the tapping, more of the page turning, more word reading, because at this time I know my audience is very small, so I can more easily tailor to the needs of each individual. Also, if there are any other stories that you to read in the future, you can write below in the comments and give me some ideas, or if there are any triggers that you would prefer to hear, or I lost my train of thought. Hoot all the way. Okay. But if there's anything that you would like to suggest or that you would like me to do in a video, you can just let me know in the comments below. Also, be sure to like and subscribe, and as I promised, I will try and post a video at least once a week, hopefully more in the future. Also, I know that right now, when I first posted this, there is a watermark from the Filmora program that I've been using, and I know that that is very distracting. I am sorry about that, but I am very poor, and I only was able to get this microphone because it went on sale. Lightning deals on Amazon. And so, my goals in the future would be able to get a good camera, to not be able to have to use my laptop. So that would be great. And then, of course, to be able to pay the one-time fee for the program so that I don't have to work anymore and I can upload more quickly and all of that. But right now, I don't have the money, and I want to get to know the program first and see if I really like this editing program. So, all in good time, and I do promise that when I do purchase the program, that I will re-upload each of these videos without watermarks so that you can watch them again. But that's all for now, and thank you very much for reading with me, my dreamers. Keep dreaming, keep enjoying life, listening to all the sounds that life has to give. I will see you next time. I'm working on my house.